Hello! So you've just started Final Fantasy XIV, you've created your Warrior of Light, and now you're stuck on picking a job. You saw how warriors can fell cleave, and you thought to yourself, I really want to fell cleave. So you became a warrior. Warrior is the best tank job in the game because they wield a massive axe. This job loves to keep itself alive with its own healing, because who needs healers anyway? Warriors can also use all sorts of different attacks, but nothing compares to fell cleave. So let's take a look. Let's start with your main combo, which is heavy swing, into maim, then into Storm's Path, or Storm's Eye at level 50. Storm's Path will heal you a little bit, while Storm's Eye will give you a 10% damage buff called Surging Tempest for 30 seconds. This can be extended up to a 1 minute duration, and should be up all the time. You should aim to refresh Surging Tempest when it's below 10 seconds. Your AoE combo is Overpower, then into Mithril Tempest. Mithril Tempest will also give you Surging Tempest for 30 seconds. You also have a ranged weapon skill, which is Tomahawk. At level 62, you can use Onslaught, which is your gap closer that you have 2 charges of. You'll get a 3rd charge at level 88. At level 64, you can use Upheaval, which is a single target attack. And at level 86, you can use Orogeny, which is an AoE attack. Both of these abilities share a cooldown timer together. Starting at level 35, Maim and Storm's Eye will increase your beast gauge by 10. Storm's Path will increase it by 20. Mithril Tempest will also increase your beast gauge by 20, but at level 74. You can spend 50 of your beast gauge on Inner Beast, a single target weapon skill. However, at level 54, Inner Beast gets upgraded to Fell Cleave, which is much stronger than Inner Beast. At level 45, you can spend 50 of your beast gauge on Steel Cyclone, which is an AoE weapon skill. At level 50, you can use Infuriate, which will increase your beast gauge by 50. You also have 2 charges of this ability. And at level 66, anytime you use either Fell Cleave or Decimate, it'll reduce the cooldown of Infuriate by 5 seconds. At level 72, anytime you use Infuriate, it'll give you Nascent Chaos for 30 seconds. This will upgrade your next Decimate to Chaotic Cyclone, which is an AoE weapon skill that is a guaranteed critical direct hit on all enemies. At level 80, Nascent Chaos will upgrade your next Fell Cleave into Inner Chaos, which is a single target weapon skill that's also a guaranteed critical direct hit. At level 6, you can use Berserk, which will give you 3 stacks of the same name and make your next 3 weapon skills be guaranteed critical direct hits for 15 seconds. Berserk will also increase your Surging Tempest buff duration by 10 seconds as well. At level 70, Berserk will upgrade to Inner Release. This does all the same things as Berserk, except only allowing your beast gauge weapon skills to use the stacks. Inner Release will also prevent you from being affected by most knockback and draw-in effects. Keep in mind that if you have Nascent Chaos active from using Infuriate, this will take priority over your normal beast gauge weapon skills, and will not take a stack of Inner Release. At level 96, after using up all 3 stacks of Inner Release will change to Primal Wrath, which is an AoE attack. At level 90, Inner Release will allow you to use Primal Rend, which is a strong AoE weapon skill that's also a gap closer. At level 100, after using Primal Rend, it'll change into Primal Ruination, which is a very strong AoE weapon skill. At level 10, you'll unlock your tank stance, Defiance. This should be on almost all the time, especially in dungeons, as it allows you to hold aggro on enemies. Rampart will reduce your damage taken by 20% for 20 seconds. At level 94, it'll also increase HP recovery from healing actions by 15% as well. Reprisal will reduce the damage dealt of nearby enemies by 10% for 10 seconds. At level 98, this is increased to 15 seconds. Arm's Length will make you unable to be affected by most knockback or draw-in effects for 6 seconds. However, this can also be used in order to apply a 20% slow for 15 seconds to any enemy that hits you, excluding most bosses. At level 38, you can use Vengeance, which will reduce damage taken by 30% for 15 seconds, and will reflect a small amount of physical damage to any enemy that hits you with a physical attack. At level 92, Vengeance will upgrade to Damnation, which reduces damage taken by 40% and still reflects damage for 15 seconds. Anytime you are hit when Damnation is active, it'll give you a buff called Primeval Impulse, which is a small regen that lasts for 15 seconds. If you are not hit when Damnation expires, it'll give you Primeval Impulse anyway. At level 30, you can use Thrill of Battle. This will increase your maximum HP by 20% and restore the amount increased for 10 seconds. At level 78, Thrill of Battle Battle will also increase HP recovery from healing actions by 20% as well. At level 58, you can use Equilibrium, which will give you a very strong heal, and also a regen at level 84. At level 56, you can use Raw Intuition. This will reduce damage taken by 10% for 6 seconds. During these 6 seconds, any weapon skill you land will heal you as well. Raw Intuition has a very short cooldown of 25 seconds, so make sure to use this a lot. At level 82, Raw Intuition will upgrade to Bloodwetting, which does the same things as Raw Intuition, but will give you a buff called Stem the Flow, which reduces damage taken by another 10% for only 4 seconds. It also gives another buff called Stem the Tide, which gives you a shield for 20 seconds. At level 76, you can use Nascent Flash, which you can give to a targeted party member and reduce their damage taken by 10% for 6 seconds. Any weapon skill you use will heal both yourself and the party member. At level 82, Nascent Flash will last for 8 seconds, and you'll also give both Stem the Flow and Tide to the targeted party member as well. At level 68, you can use Shake It Off. This will give yourself and nearby party members a shield for 30 seconds. Shake It Off will also give a 15-second regen and heal yourself and nearby party members at level 76 as well. Shake's shield can be buffed by using Raw Intuition or Bloodwetting, Thrill of Battle, and Vengeance or Damnation before using it. However, please keep in mind that using any of these to buff Shake It Off will remove the effects of the mitigation on you. The mitigation will get eaten up when you use Shake It Off. So if you want to use Shake and the mitts, use Shake first, then pop the other mitts. If you want to buff Shake It Off, use primarily Raw or Bloodwetting, and sometimes Thrill of Battle. You shouldn't ever need to use Vengeance or Damnation to buff the shield, except for some very niche cases. At level 42, you can use Holmgang, which will prevent you from falling below 1 HP for 10 seconds. If an enemy is targeted when you use Holmgang, they'll be binded in place for the duration. A very important thing to keep in mind is that if you kill the enemy that you targeted Holmgang with, you will lose Holmgang entirely. This isn't important during bosses, but is very important for mob pools. You can target yourself with Holmgang to prevent this though. Before we go on, if you're enjoying the video, I highly suggest you subscribe and leave a like as well, as it really helps me out. If you want to support me even more, please consider becoming a member. My lowest tier is only $1 a month and I really appreciate it. Also, if you want to watch any of my complete Final Fantasy XIV videos completely ad-free, I suggest taking a look at my Patreon, which is now only $1 a month as well. Thanks so much for your support. Now, I'm going to be taking this from my other tank guides, with some changes of course, as I do want to share some tips for tanking for those that haven't done any tanking before. All of your mitigation tools should be used on mob pools and dungeons, tank busters, raid-wide attacks that hurt the whole party, and sometimes even auto attacks from bosses. When tanking a pack of mobs in a dungeon, it's important to spread out your mitigation, usually by using 1 or 2 at a time in order to keep a constant source of mitigation active. With Warrior, you're going to want to use Bloodwetting nearly any time it comes up, especially in mob pools, as the healing is very strong and is affected by crits. You can heal from 1 HP to full in a single AoE attack under in a release. It's very powerful, so use it a lot. Just remember to pair your other mitigations with it as well, as they're just as important. When dealing with tank busters, make sure to use at least 1 or 2 mitigations for them. If you have Bloodwetting, make sure to use it towards the end of the cast bar, so you get the extra 10% mitigation from Stem the Flow. Nascent Flash is a very good ability to use on another tank that's tanking a tank buster, as you'll give them mitigation and be able to heal them after the hit. Nascent is also very good at helping keep somebody alive when the situation is dire, so please make sure to use it, as it can prevent wipes in some cases. With raid wides, make sure to use Shake It Off to help give shields to everyone, and use Reprisal to help mitigate the damage as well. You should only need to buff Shake It Off if there's a very heavy raid wide or during some hard end content. Holmgang is very useful to use in mob pools or for tank busters. Just remember to target yourself if you're in a mob pool so you don't lose the ability on accident. Provoke and Shirk are also useful skills to use, as Provoke can give you enmity and is really good for catching stray mobs in a mob pool that aren't aggro to you, or for tank swapping in high-end content. Shirk is also mainly used for tank swapping, as it gives enmity to another party member, which should be the other tank. Warrior's damage rotation primarily revolves around using your 1-2-3 to keep up Surging Tempest and generating Beast Gauge. It's very important that you do not overcap on Beast Gauge, so please keep an eye on it. At the start of any encounter, make sure to use Infuriate immediately, so it'll be on cooldown. You'll want to keep Infuriate's cooldown running, as you'll be decreasing it anytime you use either Fell Cleave or Decimate. Make sure to use Inner Release after getting Surging Tempest up, and then off cooldown from there on. Make sure to use all 3 stacks of Inner Release so you can use Primal Primal Wrath after. Use Upheaval off cooldown and keep Onslaught under 3 stacks. Overall though, I think Warrior is still a fun tank. I love the healing it can do, and of course Cleave. I am kind of excited to see what's to come for Warrior in Evercold, but only time will tell. But yeah, that basically sums up Warrior, and so I will see you all in Evercold. Bye!